could unfold tomorrow across the Midwest. And yes, I am finally now joining the weather community on YouTube. So anyway, there will be a low pressure system developing along South Dakota and Nebraska today, and depending on the evolution of it, could lead to a severe weather or even possibly tornado outbreak tomorrow. So without further ado, let's get right into the forecast. So, I'm just saying, right now it's pretty stormy this morning around Sioux Falls. If one or two of these cells are able to come to... Wait, 1 second. There we go. Okay, if any of these cells are able to become discrete, like if this cell is able to venture out, they could pose a small tornado threat. I don't really think there should be much with the morning convection, though. And as we go on, it actually gets quieter around Sioux Falls, but notice all these storms going up in South Dakota, as early as lunchtime, which it is almost lunchtime. And then they will just keep evolving. I personally am most concerned about these storms near Mission and Valentine, east of Sioux Falls. Those could pose a pretty significant threat, and if any of these cells are able to break away and become discrete, they could pose a legitimate tornado threat. Again, the HRRR model does have multiple cells going up. Also, I would like to draw your attention to Montana. I do think that this cluster could be a little intense. Probably, definitely not as much as this cluster. I'm also concerned about near Aberdeen. That could also pose a threat. And as we approach 6 o'clock, we will have these storms ongoing. They should merge into a line over here. And guys, look, we might even have some storms going up in Minnesota. I would not rule out an upgrade to a slight risk for that. And these storms should keep going as we approach nighttime. They should wind down. But notice this little cluster going up just northeast of Rapid City. This could also pose a likely just wind threat if a bow echo is able to develop. If not, probably a hail threat. But it should easily fall apart. Again, our significant tornado parameters, let me just select that. Again, they are not very high, but notice around 8 p.m. we do have about 1 on our significant tornado parameters, and that is paired with a area of rain. If any cells, even linear, are able to go into this environment, we could have a significant tornado threat, but otherwise it is not supposed to be that much. I do not think that we will have a Sig 1 tornado threat per se, but possibly a 5%. Some models, like the Rufus model, are showing a smaller but more intense line. But it will grow. But one of the things to know that it might be wrong is because around 10 p.m. there is this large line going up on the Rufus model. That is not supposed to happen at all. And when it ran, it showed this was already ongoing. I don't think it is. And now let's get into the outlooks of severe weather, and then we will go into more detail over the next couple days. So, beginning with today, which is Thursday, we do have a large slight risk in place. I do not think that should be for Kansas. I do think that they will crop that off a little bit. And I also wouldn't rule out a extension over here. Large marginal risk and a small marginal risk if you live in northern Florida, Mississippi, Alabama, southeastern, I think this is Alabama, southern Mississippi, or southern Georgia. The main threat will be damaging winds up to 70 miles an hour. We do see a Sig 1 wind threat here. If the Rufus model can prove itself trustworthy, I do think that they may introduce a Sig 1 wind threat around here. There will also be a risk for some large hail. I do not think that the hail threat should be this big. I think they could cut it off like here and then start it again at here. And also, I have no clue why this is going down into Texas. It should definitely not. There will be also a threat for a few tornadoes. Again, we just talked about this, but any cell that can develop in this zone will be capable of producing tornadoes. And then as we move into tomorrow, Friday, there is two marginal risks, one stretching from Denver down to almost Lubbock, Texas, and then another one stretching from near Davenport to near Memphis. There are actually, this is an all hazards event, including the risk for damaging winds, some hail, and a few tornadoes. The reason why we have this is because depending on how our low pressure system evolves, if it's centered somewhere in like southern Iowa, northern Missouri, or central or northern Illinois, it could be go time for a severe weather or tornado outbreak. But that is very uncertain at the time. As we move into Saturday, oh, wait, one more thing I want to point out with this. We have a very large general thunderstorm risk tomorrow. Look how big that is. It's stretching from Arizona to Florida to Michigan to Montana. And I do think that they may extend it so that this area is covered. So again, that is crazy. And we do have another large general thunderstorm risk. Again, Alabama to Florida to Maine to Michigan this time. I'm still drawing it. There are two marginal risks. I don't really see much with Saturday, except maybe if it's a multi-day severe weather outbreak, a threat over here somewhere. I think that may be extended in a future outlook to cover a little bit more of Kentucky, Tennessee, southern Wisconsin, and most of Illinois. Again, our probabilistic does not have any Sig 1s. It does just have two 5%. And we do not have any thing for the day 4 to 8, as there is low predictability. Again, I think our main day will probably be today, unless the low pressure system can stay as it is or strengthen and make its way into, again, southern Iowa, eastern Iowa, northern Missouri, southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois, central Illinois. If it can make it into that zone, then that could be pretty big go time. I do not think we will be able to go live to cover this, as we do not have the materials needed yet, but if possible, we will cover this. I, again, do not think the chances of this are very high, but they are probable. And I would also like you to know, we won't just be going live for, like, tornado events. We will also be going live for, like, severe weather events, like wind and hail. So that's part of the reason we're going live today. Right now, at the time I'm filming this video, there is a severe thunderstorm warning in Minnesota for East Central Cook County in Minnesota. And there's also a heat dome still there. Any tropical weather right now? I don't know. Anyway, it does look like... No, my computer! It does look like it is pretty chill across the country right now. We only have one storm-based special weather... Where is that? Is that in Florida? Oh yeah, that's in Florida. That is in Florida, but again, we don't really care about that right now because it is pretty calm. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Bye!